So our first speaker, chiropractor, co-owner of Epoch Lincoln, and international speaker on well-being, wealth and motivation, with a personal mission to inspire Lincolnshire to be the healthiest county in England. A dynamic and influential chiropractor, recognised in the top 20 list of world leaders of chiropractic for 2017. Please welcome to the stage, Dr. Tom Waller.
Can you hear me at the back? Now we can. Lovely. So when I was first asked to come here and talk about personal resilience, I had to question why. And then I was doing my hair in the mirror one morning and I realised it's pretty obvious that some of the people with the most personal resilience are the gingers. We've had it for a long time. And certainly I can't imagine some of the scenarios that you've been through, but today I'm going to talk a little bit about personal resilience. I'm going to dip into the science of it a little bit, and we're going to have a lot of fun doing it. Now, I've only got 30 minutes with you. Is everyone ready to go at 100 miles an hour? Yes? Perfect. So, who would like to learn how to deal with stress personally, both inside and outside of work? Fantastic. Who would like to learn how to identify stress in others? Brilliant. And then lastly, who would like to learn how to motivate themselves both through the good times and the bad times? Fantastic. So I think we all agree that we've all got a shared mission today, that we're going to make a big difference, and what I want at the end of these 30 minutes is to have absolutely changed your life. Oftentimes we believe that to get a change in life, we have to make a significant difference in our environment and our world, and it's just not true. Before I start, do you mind if I tell you a little bit about myself? Okay. So this is me. As well as being in full-time practice, in Lincoln we have one of the busiest chiropractic centres in the country. I have a sign on my wall that says, "Don't take yourself too seriously." That's the kind of place we work in. I'm blessed and fortunate enough, as Julie said, to speak all around the world to groups on well-being, from audiences as big as this, larger, to 2 or 3 individuals. I believe that the difference we make doesn't just stop with one person. That one person can then go and tell another person, that can have a ripple effect throughout the county or the country. I hold 2 well-being columns on Lincoln radio stations. I think I share one of them with one of your colleagues on Siren FM, and the other one is Lincoln City Radio, which has about 3 listeners on a Friday afternoon. As Judy said, I was recognised in the top 20 chiropractors worldwide, and I sit on the national executive representing chiropractors throughout the country. It drives this woman insane. All I do is chiropractic. But what you'll get to know is chiropractic has nothing to do with back and neck pain, and it's everything to do with your expression of life. Sarah, who here knows Sarah? Quite a few people. Sarah used to be a police officer with Lincolnshire Police, and she really has helped me with my career and has given me a small insight into the work that you do. I remember this one day where, pretty new in our relationship, and I was tucking myself up nicely in bed at 9 o'clock at night thinking this is going to be great, full night's sleep, and Sarah's leaving the door for work. I stirred in the middle of the night and I thought, well, I can give her a call, she's awake. So I gave Sarah a call. She's going to tell me off for saying this because she answered her phone while she was on the job. But she answers her phone. She says, "Tom, I can't speak now." I said, "Why not?" She says, "I'm looking for a guy with a knife." And to her, that's normal. To me, I'm freaking out. I'm jumping out of bed saying, "Where are you? Can I come and help? Are you on your own?" And it turns out she was the only officer at the time with a taser. So send her off. You know, when you're climbing a mountain, it's not until you stop, you look behind, that you realize quite how far you've come. For a lot of you in the job, you don't quite realize the work that you're doing. And from us on the outside to look at you, it really is quite remarkable. And I think you should all understand that and take that away with you, that what you do really is impactful and makes a huge difference. I work with a lot of the police officers in Lincolnshire, and oftentimes what I'm told is that we just deal with the people in society that don't thank us. But there's a lot of people in society who do thank you. The other thing you should know about me is I tell the truth. I tell the truth scientifically, and I tell the truth philosophically, and I just tell the truth. So sometimes this might get your opinions up, and it might put your backs up a little bit. Always question what you're told. Question everything that I'm going to tell you for the next 30 minutes, but then go away and think about it, make your own opinions, make your own decisions, because I'm sure after a few hours of research, you'll come back and say, Tom, I wish I hadn't done that because you were right at the start. So, who's ready to go? With me? Yes. Beautiful. So, let's start with this one. You never know how far-reaching something you may think, say, or do will affect the lives of millions tomorrow. Those in the fire and those in the police, you never know how far-reaching something you may think, say, or do will affect the lives of millions tomorrow. I want you to take yourself back to a time when you were young and someone of authority came up to you, be it a parent, be it a preacher, be it a policeman or a fireman, and they knelt down next to you and they whispered something into your ear. And that something that they whispered into your ear has stuck with you today. It might have been your father telling you, walk on the outside of the street, always let the lady walk on the inside. My mother once told me something profound. She says, Tom, you might not always be in love, but you will always love. My cousin told me a fantastic thing. He said, Tom, the best way to avoid a hangover is just keep drinking. But these little things stick with us. The interactions that you have with people on a daily basis stick with them. And if you go into a situation stressed, or you go into a situation anxious or worked up, whatever you say to that person, no matter how small you think it might be, will stick with them. So can you see how important it is that we get your well-being right first before we can ever have an impact on anyone else? These stats are really scary. When I was sent these earlier this week, it made me recoil a little bit. Initially, that's really bad for PR, horrible for the Wellbeing team. That is bad for you. Whether you're here for a jolly today, or whether you're here really to find out about well-being, let's really make a difference to your life. Do you know what the genetic potential for human life is? No matter where you live, what color you are, what race you are, what gender you are, the genetic potential, lifespan for a human being is 120 years. Do you know what the average life expectancy of a shift worker in this country is? 65. So you work really hard for your retirement, and it doesn't come. So we need to take this very seriously, and I'm going to show you how you can absolutely make a difference. So I'm here to talk about resilience. Now I'm going to start to pick up the pace because the time is running down. We are here to talk about resilience, and resilience is nothing more than the ability to adapt to stress. We are not going to change the situations you are going into. That is illogical. If we're thinking about trying to do that, then that's just a fantastic PR stunt. What we need to do is we need to change how your body can adapt to the situation that it goes into so that it doesn't have a detriment on your health on the inside. So if you don't... I love Einstein said this because I can either pretend to be fantastically intelligent and just keep it really simple, or actually know what I'm talking about. But for the purpose of today, you're probably not going to know. We're just going to go into it. Let's start off by looking at adaptation. Adaptation is the process of change by which an organism becomes better suited to its environment. So adaptation is not about changing the environment around you, it's about changing how your body becomes better suited to that environment. And then the next thing we have to understand when we're looking at resilience is what is stress. And stress is simply a sustained stimulus to the body that you can't adapt to. Could anyone here really define stress? It's very difficult. And we put this buzzword around and we get so confused by it that we actually don't do anything about it. But what I'll show you today is it's very simple. It comes in 3 forms, and if you can work on those 3 forms, you can predictably change your health. So adaptation, has anyone ever heard of Darwin's theory, survival of the fittest? Have you heard that? So we try to become fitter and stronger to deal with the situation. And it's not what his scenario was saying. Darwin's theory said survival of the fittest comes from survival of the fittest culture. Survival of the fittest community that can stand up to the stress and resist it. So to really change and get adaptation within the police and fire service, it has to come from a changing culture within first and nothing else. We have to change the whole culture. And we have to do that individually, but together. So let's talk about stress. Stress is very simple. It comes in 3 forms. It is so simple and understand. If you're taking notes, it's the 3 T's: thoughts, traumas, and toxins. It's such an easy thing to understand when you break stress down and really understand exactly what it is that stress is. It's simply thoughts, traumas, and toxins. And if we can balance and measure this triangle of these 3 different types of stress that come upon us, we can have a true effect. Now, I've only been given 30 minutes to try and tell you all about stress. So what I've done, who here would like to learn a little bit more about stress? If you email my team, if you've got a phone, take a photo of this email address or write it down. I've recorded 4 videos for you that will spend more time going into stress. Julie, can I have a glass of water, please? Thank you. Thank you ever so much. This lection's at an angle, so a glass of water on a bit of electricity is fine, isn't it? Yeah, it's fine. So, if you email my team, we will send you out 4 videos which will take you through exactly how to deal with each one of those 3 individual stresses, plus a little introduction to it. That's my gift to you. It's going to make a big difference to your life. It's so simple, and what we're going to do just while we're here is explain the introduction to it. So the biggest stress that you probably all deal with is the emotional one. Would you agree? I'd say so. It's funny, before I got to know Sarah, I thought police officers just wore a big kit and they walked around all day and they got in scraps and it was pretty physical. You sit all day in a car, is that right? Or in the office, or fire waiting for something to happen. So sitting is a really big stress on our body. But the emotional one is so ingrained that we actually can't do anything about it. You're going into these situations every day. You can't change the emotional stress that you're going into. So how do we do anything about that? We simply balance the triangle from the bottom up. We change what we can, predictably, to give our bodies enough potential to cope with what we cannot change and is unpredictable. So if you can change the toxic stress you put upon your body, and you can change the physical stress that you put upon your body, you build a body that is more resilient to cope with the emotional stress. Now, this emotional stress you might not feel necessarily. The amount of people who come to see me and say, I don't feel stressed at all, they can't lie when they come to see me. I have a piece of kit that NASA invented that measures your stress so nobody can cheat the system. And that's getting ingrained, really ingrained. If I was to fill that glass of water up, it's absolutely fine, isn't it? Until it spills over the edge. And we don't see it coming. And that's why it's so important that we start working straight away to make a difference to these things. So toxic stress, who here likes to eat a bag of sweets during their shift? Or have a few cream cakes? Yes? Yes. I once went out with some patients of mine, they're ambulance staff, and they said, come and do a night shift, see what it's really like. I was like, yes, I'm going to do this. 2 o'clock in the morning, I went home because I was knackered, I couldn't survive the night. So you've got to have something to keep you going. But the real reason that we go for these sugary snacks is because we've lost appreciation or understanding of why we're doing what we do. Human beings are pack animals. Human beings are designed to contribute towards a herd. And when you contribute towards a herd, you release endorphins within your body, and these hormones give satisfaction. Now, probably when you started, you were getting those endorphins back. But now you've been in the job for a while, you don't actually feel the gratitude for the work you're doing. Does that sound about right? And therefore, you're not releasing the endorphins that your body absolutely craves purely because of the fact you're a human being, a Homo sapien. So what do? We take the sugar. And the sugar stimulates the same cascade of hormonal events to release that endorphin. So one simple way around this would be to actively praise your colleagues. Actively praise your colleagues. From the simplest thing to the most dramatic thing. And simply by doing that, you boost their levels of endorphins and their satisfaction in what they do. We then have trauma, physical trauma. We know sitting's bad for us, but do we actually understand how bad sitting is for us? I have some studies at home that show the seated posture and the changes that has on your spine has the potential to take 15 years off your life. 15 years off your life. They say sitting's the new smoking, they're not lying at all. The beautiful thing is that NASA did an amazing study, I think it was about 2010, and they showed that all you need to do is stand up and sit back down every 20 minutes, and you'll put 3 quality years on your life. So everybody please stand up. And sit back down. And say, thank you very much, Tom, you gave me 3 years. So can you see, you don't even need to stand up, walk around, or leave your desk. All you need to do is stand up, sit back down, and you've given yourself those 15 years back, and you've added 3 on the end, and there you go, you've got 18 years on top of those 65 years that you were told you're going to die at. What a change that's made to your life. And how simple was that to do? It wasn't a huge overhaul, it was a very, very simple step. And then it comes to trust and teamwork. This is where it really happens. This is where everything changes. Where are the fire service personnel? Is the fire service built on trust? Yeah? And for the police, is the police service built on trust? I would say so. No hands went up, it's a shock. Bill? Well done, fire service. So, it's built on trust. When this first bee stepped out of its comfort zone, it knew that someone would be there for it. It didn't think twice, it went for it. And then the next one followed, and the next one followed, and the next one followed. But it takes someone to step out and know instantly that someone's going to be behind them to support them. I said at the start, to change your health, it has to come from a change in culture first. Culture has to change before anything else will. Would you mind if I asked you a question and asked you to partake in a little experiment? Yeah? So it's like Slider. It's anonymous. The way we make it anonymous is everybody's going to close their eyes. So could everybody please close their eyes? And if you agree with this statement, or as soon as you agree with this statement, could you please raise your hand? Keep your eyes closed. If you would like to see an improvement in personal resilience, in your own well-being that will not only affect your life and your life in the future, but your family's life as well, and you'd like to see it come from a shift in culture in your workplace, please raise your hand. Keep your eyes closed. Okay, you can put your hands down. Open your eyes. Can I ask you another question? And this time, if you agree with the answer, I'd like you to stand up. If you'd like to see an improvement in personal resilience, your own well-being, the well-being that would not only affect you, but would also affect your family as well, and you'd like to see it come from a changing culture within your organization, could you please stand up? Remarkable. So can you see how everyone's on the same page? So the next time someone in your office stands up and sits back down, instead of going, why are you doing that, you idiot? Stand up and sit down yourself. The next time someone goes for the sugary snacks and someone says, oh, why don't you try this Bombay mix I've got? Instead of going, why would you want the healthy stuff? Okay, I'll try. We're all in it together, and I think you'll all agree, because you can look around, everybody's standing, that it will make a huge difference. You can take a seat and say, thank you, Tom, for the other 3 years I added on your life. Okay, so we've got a few minutes left. That's brilliant. So I talked about making big changes compared to little changes, or little changes compared to big changes. We think if we're going to make a big difference to our health, we need to overhaul it completely. Right now, if you are feeling stressed, if you wake up every morning thinking, oh, not another day, if you sit down for a sustained period of time over an hour, and your dietary choices are probably not as good as they could be, I'm sorry to say, but you've set yourself on a beeline course for heart disease or cancer. That's the way the physiology works. It's very difficult when you're on the road to ill health to go, I'm going to change it all. Because you go here and you drift back. How many people have ever been on a diet? Still on it? Doesn't last. Beautiful thing is, has anyone here ever been walking? And when you go walking, you set a compass bearing. And you set this compass bearing for 2 miles. And if you get it right, you walk 2 miles and you hit your target. If you get it wrong by just 1 degree, and you start walking, in 2 miles' time, you will completely miss your target. So all you need to do is, if you're on that beeline course for heart disease or cancer, you change the tiniest thing, just the tiniest thing. I'm going to stand up and sit down every 20 minutes. I'm going to wake up every morning and say to myself, you know what? Today is a good day. And I might just have 1 extra carrot a day, because that starts making it a bit healthy. The tiniest change. Take that over several years, and you will predictably, exponentially change your life. I mentioned chiropractic has nothing to do with neck and back pain, but everything to do with the optimization of the human experience. The work that I do is on your brain and your spinal cord. Has anyone here ever heard of Christopher Reeve? Yep. What happened to him? So we know how vital our spinal cord is and our spine is, yet we see back pain as an inconvenience. Can you see the huge mismatch? Your brain is controlling every single function of your entire body. The biggest thing your brain is doing is constantly adapting to stress. And if your brain isn't talking to your body right because you have one of these in your spine that stops your brain from talking to your body, as soon as a stressful stimulus comes into your environment, you can't cope with it so well. And then it starts to change how your body works. We've done some beautiful studies. On your left-hand side, you'll see a brain under a functional MRI. This brain has been subjected to stress. This person has been put in a very stressful scenario, and they've had their brain functionally MRI'd. You'll notice all the color. Everything's fired off. It's struggling to cope. On your right-hand side is a subject after they've had their spine aligned, or checked for these misalignments and corrected, and then put under huge stress. The brain copes far better. You see, it's so powerful what you can do when you get your body working right. But you start straight away. And you can start straight away with those thoughts, those traumas, and those toxins in the moment for a short space of time. You have the power in your voice and in your hands to change the world. Some of you may have attended a fire incident several years ago whereby a young boy called Tom was caught in a blaze at home where his 3D printer exploded. Tom started seeing me when he was just about 6 years old. And the transformation it had on his life was so dramatic that he decided to become a chiropractor. And as some of you may know, Tom never made it to become a chiropractor. But that came from one interaction. Decided how his life would be. You have the potential to change so many people's lives, but you deserve to change your life first. Because if you're not functioning right, the people you deal with can't work right, and the ripple effect doesn't happen. I want you to remember why you joined the police or the fire service. I want you to think of the pride that you had at that time when you started, and I want you just to think about all the great situations that you've been through and the lives that you've touched and you've changed. Can you play the video?
I am not a stranger to the dark. Hide away, they say, 'cause we don't want your broken parts. I've learned to be ashamed of all my scars. Run away, they say, no one will love you as you are. But I won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us, for we are glorious. When the sharpest words wanna cut me down, I'm gonna send the blood, gonna drown them out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, 'cause here I come, and I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen, I make no apologies. This is me. I'm gonna send the blood, gonna drown them out. This is brave, this is bruised, this is who I'm meant to be. This is me. This is me.
So the great philosopher Ayn Rand said, "Take care of me for you, and take care of you for me." If you think that you can make a difference to yourself, if you think that you can make those small little steps today, please show your hand. Excellent. I want to thank you ever so much for having me here today. If you need anything more from me or my team, please feel free to get in contact. I'd like to say from the bottom of my heart a gratitude, a thanks, really from the civilian side for the work that you do. It really does not go unnoticed. It does not go unseen, and we are eternally grateful for everything that you do. I want to thank you ever so much for having me here today, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you.